And then even if we don't want to hear this, sometimes we do need to step away from the situation to be able to see it better. This is a hard one, even for me to swallow, you know, because I'm big on like, well, I don't like letting people go, you know, and once I let them go, that's it. And
that's our thing. That's Aquarius.
Right. But I've learned life doesn't have to be so cut and dry.
Speak Up with Vernisa and Jen. It's time to speak up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Vernisa.
Hey, y'all. This is Jen.
This is our podcast, Speak Up. What's up, Jen?
Hey, girl.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, guys. We made it to episode 76.
Y'all, I am shocked.
Yes, time just be flying. For those of you that don't know, me and Jen are best friends, and we create this podcast to use our voices to motivate people to overcome life challenges through self-love and respect.
Do we need to say it anymore? But I guess we do. Self-love and respect are two core values we hold near and dear to our hearts.
Yes, most definitely. But before we get started, a quick shout out to our amazing sponsors. Shout out to My Bar, located at 720 East Manchester. Get your nails, your lashes, your hair, your brows done. Ask for mine. Tell them that SpeakupJV sent you. She just hooked my nails up, as you can see. The Instagram is at myy.bar.
That's right. And shout out to our other sponsor, Be Actual Natural. Why settle for less? All their products are created with you in mind for a goal to let your self-love show through your self-care. Their chemical-free hair and skincare products are handmade, plant-based, and free of fillers or preservatives. Treat yourself while you're taking care of yourself. Start your journey at www.beactualnatural.com or check them out on Instagram at beactualnatural.
Yes, most definitely. So today, our episode is titled, How Big Are They?
Ooh.
How big is what?
Don't go there, y'all.
Nope.
No, today we are talking about red flags and the pros and cons. How big are they?
How big are they? How many of us have been ignoring some red flags? All of us, right? We've done it in our life or currently, whatever. We're going to debunk that because that's a part of self-love and inner peace, right? Is knowing the red flags, watching out from ducking and dodging them.
That's right. And we want to make it clear that we are talking about all kinds of relationships today. Look for the red flags in every type, especially if you're making business deals with somebody or you're spending time with somebody on the regular if they're a family member or something. So always make sure that you're paying attention.
Right. And I know y'all all saw that trend on Twitter where people will put like 50 red flags and say what it is. So we talking about all those today. And let's add more green flags to our life, right? What is ignoring the red flags? Honestly, I think the red flags are things that are not healthy, you know, things that are presented to you that another individual is doing, like maybe whether it's a trait of theirs or a way that they handle certain situations, their behavior towards you. You know, it could be a number of things or a certain situation that they come with that isn't in alignment with your self-love and inner peace or your journey. And I think, you know, oftentimes when we care about a person or the relationship, we'll ignore those things to try to fit in.
Exactly. I think you said it very well. I mean, it's something where it's like if it's bothering your identity, if you feel like you are just going along with whatever somebody else is saying or anything like that, those are big ways to start asking yourself if it's because of a red flag. So sometimes they're not so clear cut to see. So today we are going to be talking about like how to actually start looking for them. But of course, everybody's going to be different, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I think another red flag is like knowing you're being used, knowing you're being manipulated. Those are things, because there's a difference between red flags and flaws.
Right.
Like, we ain't perfect. All of us got problems. We all have mood swings or a bad day, a challenging day where a certain behavior comes up. However, if you're dealing with someone, that's how they talk to you completely. Like, it's full disrespect. They're like that all the time. You know, they're projecting onto you, things like that. That's an example of a red flag.
Yeah, red flags are when it's repetitive behavior and when it's already been addressed and there's nothing being done to change it to be a better behavior.
Oh, I like that. And you know, everyone has flaws, but some of them are deal breakers. So it's really a conversation that you have to have with yourself. What can you deal with? You know, like, for example, in the day, if it works for you, that's okay. But we have to stop putting ourselves in the bodies of other people because we all have different preferences. We're built in a certain way and our patience is different and our tolerance level of certain things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we've even talked about this before. Make a list of deal breakers. It's not about like, oh, you know, he wears collared tops and I don't like that stuff. Like, I would say that's a flaw maybe you don't want to deal with, right? Like you were saying the difference. But it's a true red flag where it's like, yeah, this goes against my core values. Like, this goes against me as a person. And it's affecting everything and everyone in my life too.
I like that. And, you know, no one is able to be fixed and when it's not. So if it's something where like, someone's going through like a transitioning moment and you know that, but they're working towards it and putting in effort. We're not talking about that. But if it's just a person, if you're an ambitious person, right, you got something going for yourself and you're dealing with a person who's stagnant, they're trying to pull you down and put on, that's not going to work, especially if they don't have no drive, right? So in my eyes, that is a red flag, because if you're the only one pushing the boat, doing the steering, or they're mad at what you're doing, that's not nothing that now. If it's something where someone is putting in effort, we all go through things, right, but they're not dumping it on you, they're working on it, that's a difference right there, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. The red flag is where they're trying to bring you down.
Yeah.
Because, like you were saying, everybody does go through things. So sometimes you may be more up top than the other person, and that's okay. But it's if their actions are starting to affect you and how often you do it, or if you start to question yourself a lot because of things that they're putting in your head, different things like that. And asking yourself too, do the pros outweigh the cons, right? Because sometimes, we have really good people in our life. We see the good things in them. We see the potential in them. We've talked about that before too, and everything. But you have to make sure that what's good about them, what you like about them, whether it's for a business deal or not, you're seeing there's a mutual beneficial relationship right now.
We got to start looking at how heavy things are, because I could say this person did this, but if one of the con is the person's abusive, that's actually heavier than a bunch of gifts, right, or whatever. So it's really about, obviously what works for you and stuff, but we have to stop overlooking that too as well, because sometimes, me and Jen talk about this all the time, sometimes we romanticize certain things because it feels better in our head. Jen actually told me this, like, when you stop dealing with a person, right, and you told me that your memory's not gonna think about all that bad stuff. When you start to miss someone, you're thinking about just those good things, because it's traumatizing thinking of a really effed up memory somebody put you through. So I think it's the same thing too. When we really care about someone and we're making that list, we try to just pay attention just to those good things. But honestly, we have to be real with ourselves in certain scenarios.
And that's the thing too that I personally wanted to emphasize as well. Just because somebody has the red flags or anything that doesn't work with your particular lifestyle, it doesn't mean they're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're a bad person either if you're the one who has more red flags. It just means there's a lot more that needs to be worked on, and maybe you two are not compatible enough to make it work with each other, right? Because it's true, sometimes we do bring out the worst in other people, they bring out the worst in us. There's some sort of healing that needs to be happening, and maybe it's not going to happen being with each other or being around each other. So always just make sure that you're paying attention to that part, like what we were talking about. Know your limit and what you really can and cannot put up with, because you should never be in a relationship that you have to settle in.
And I love that you brought that up about the healing and stuff, because honestly, sometimes you might just need to be alone. That person needs like those areas to work on, or sometimes, unfortunately, you are the person that's going to teach them that lesson by leaving them alone, because they have to see, oh shoot, this red flag that needs to be worked on. We've all been guilty of it. I feel like I've probably been a red flag to somebody before too, whatever. But in the day, it's really about recognizing, when those traits are being done. And I want to make this clear, no relationship is exempt from this. So we're not just saying right now, probably sounds like we're talking about just dating, which this falls for, but this could be friends, family, business relationships, all that stuff. Are there red flags? Because you could do a business deal with somebody who ain't trustworthy, who ain't loyal, who's lying and stuff. Is that a red flag? Me and Jen are big on being punctual. I actually tweeted this the other day. Last minute inquiries are not professional. I'm sorry, that in the day, that's a red flag if that's what you throw at me when you want to do some type of business.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think business is a big one. Woo! Your money is tied into this. Your time, your ambition, your goals, your possible future is involved in this. So really ask yourself if that business relationship is one that you want to take. And we're not talking about just like big business deals, even the smallest of little decisions. You always have to make sure that it's beneficial. Whenever you and I get an inquiry about anything, we talk to each other like, is this going to benefit both parties? Because at the end of the day, that's what it has to be about.
Everything has to be laid out there when doing any type of transaction. Even when it comes to like a dating relationship, like everyone comes with some type of baggage, like something. Does that work for each other? Like, I'll give you an example. Let's say you don't have children and you want to date someone who has children. That needs to be discussed. Is that something that works, or is that a deal breaker for the person? Like, all these things, we need to make sure we're all comfortable in all those situations, And I want to say this too. If it's time for an uncomfortable conversation, is the person running from it, or they're willing to have that conversation? That's how you know at the end of the day if it's something that's going to work. And that goes for business deals as well too. Things get ugly sometimes. Sometimes things go up and down, business and stuff. Friendships, relationships change. There's gonna be new things added to the relationship and things like that. But today, are y'all willing to work through it and work it out, or is the red flag just gonna beat that?
For me, it's like if you don't like having those conversations, you're not willing to grow in the relationship or as a person or anything. And I'm sorry to call everybody out like that, but it's true. Like nobody likes to have uncomfortable conversations. They suck, right? But if you are wanting to move on, you want to grow, then it's something that needs to happen. And like I said, it doesn't have to be you're arguing or fighting or anything. It's just a matter of letting things out and finding a solution towards it.
I love that. And it's like, can the person be empathetic to how you're feeling? And you can only have grace with a person to a certain extent. Yes, I'm not saying sometimes a red flag, dismiss everything. No,
Go.
Go. Like compassion. We're not. Yeah, it's okay to still be compassionate and stuff, but to an extent, if someone's not trying to change or work through whatever it is, it's time to go. Like I was told the other day that sometimes I'm a little too compassionate, and I had to work on that because I'm like, okay, yes, I like to put myself in other people's shoes and like understand through their lens, but I'm like, okay, is this hindering me though?
Right.
How long am I gonna do that? You have to have boundaries with yourself too on how compassionate and how much grace do you give to a situation.
That's a big one. I don't think we talk about boundaries with ourselves enough. And then two, when you finally get real with yourself, ask why are you ignoring the red flags? We've all done it. We probably do it on the daily or even in minor situations, but when it's a big relationship for you, any type of relationship, and you're feeling some sort of way, get deep down with yourself and ask yourself why you're ignoring them, why you're still sticking around. Whatever that reason is for you, if it's something that still makes sense, then sure, continue. But if it's something that doesn't, maybe it's time to reevaluate. It's okay to do that. It doesn't mean, like you were saying, you're gonna cut them off right away or anything. It just means that you're asking yourself if this is still something that's serving me. That's
real. And at the end of the day, time doesn't matter. A red flag is a red flag. So I don't care how long you knew this person, whatever it is. Like if there's something that is just, it's too big, it's not worth saving anymore. It's okay to see the red flag for what it is. I get it. We try to give people the benefit of the doubt, use all these things because we care, but then you have to start loving yourself even more to really see what's going on.
Yeah. So how do you know when it's no longer working? Unfortunately, there is no one answer to this.
I agree.
But I think one of the biggest ones is just seeing if you even have to question it. I think that's a start. If you're feeling doubts about the future of this relationship, the future of where everything is headed, that's one big way. I think another one is if you're starting to see that you're losing yourself, that you don't know who you are outside of this type of transaction with this relationship anymore, that you don't know where you're headed or what you would be even without this type of relationship.
Yeah, and I think too, if other categories in your life are affected as well, like you don't have the same drive for your ambition, like all those things, is this red flag consuming you?
Yep.
And I think that's something that we have to ask ourselves. And honestly, don't punish yourself for ignoring the red flags. Just be ready to learn. So, we all make mistakes. Like I think if I sat here all day and got mad, why did I trust this person? Why did I do all day? We sit here mad at yourself all day. Okay, it happened, but what did you learn from it? How are you gonna move forward? It's a new day. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, that's big. Even though we talk about being real with ourselves and facing our shadows and our inner demons and stuff, we've never once said, and make sure that you don't make that same mistake again. Look, we're probably bound to make the same mistakes over and over again in our lives. Yes, sometimes we have no choice but to grow from them. Sometimes it's like, well, it only happened here. It might not happen here, but you never know, right? It might just be a repetitive cycle, more healing that you need to be doing. We're big on that because, we continue to make mistakes all the time. So it's a matter of just you getting real with yourself and telling yourself first, like, I'm not going to punish myself for this. I wouldn't punish a friend. I wouldn't punish a loved one. So why would I punish myself?
Because sometimes too, we try to play it off like something didn't hurt us. Like let's say someone you cared about said something foul to you or betrayed you, did something, and sometimes we care about the relationship so much we act like we're fine, and it's like, how did that make you feel? Did it hurt you? How do you feel around this person? Are you hesitant? Are you in defense mode all the time, or is your natural loving self? Can you be your natural loving self? I've been having to really sit with myself for that too. How am I conducting myself when I'm around certain people? All those things are things to ask yourself, and you'll know if you're ducking and dodging a red flag or not.
No, that's big, yo. That goes back to what's your identity like in these types of relationships.
I like that.
And then even if we don't want to hear this, sometimes we do need to step away from the situation to be able to see it better. This is a hard one, even for me to swallow, because I'm big on like, I don't like letting people go, and once I let them go, that's it. And go.
That's our thing. That's Aquarius.
Right. But I've learned life doesn't have to be so cut and dry, right? Like sometimes you just need a break from the person. And then if ultimately in that break you realize, I don't need this person, then cool, right? But if you're seeing that maybe you're changing, they're changing for the better. And if something starts to work out again, then cool. I know that rarely happens, but in all honesty, that alone time or that separate time really does end up putting a better perspective into your head on what you really need.
And also too, when you love yourself better, the red flags won't be as powerful. Because I feel like when you don't play about you, when something's a threat to that, it's going to be so easy to push that away. And I've been learning that on my self-love journey. Obviously still a work in progress, but lately I've been feeling the power of it. You know, for honestly, how does this relate to self-love? Self-love is knowing what the red flags are. Loving yourself enough to not let it have that power over you, like I just mentioned.
Yeah, big time. And we got to get real with ourselves.
Go ahead.
Are you working on your red flags?
We all got to.
Let's be real. We are all the villain in somebody's story, right? To somebody's relationship or whatever. So sometimes it may be true and sometimes it may not, but you have to really get honest with yourself and say, okay, no, I messed that one up. Like, that was me. That was on me. I think that's really important before we even start judging other people for their red flags and all this stuff. And it's the hardest thing to do, actually. But I think once you start to do that, again, it'll be easier to see it in somebody else and realize if that's even something you want to deal with, because you got real with yourself first.
That's so true, because it is easy for us to point the finger. Like, it's easy for us to make everyone the bad person in our story. Let's be real. But how often do we say, you know what, I was the villain, you know, and admit that and own it, you know? And also, too, sometimes you're just not compatible with people, and that's okay. As much as you're trying to make things work, some people are just not allowed to be on a journey. I tweeted this one of these days: God shakes the table when it's time to refocus. And it's the truth, because it'll be out of your control. Divine intervention.
Exactly. And it doesn't mean hate the person or hate the relationship, the experience. It just means it's something we had to go through for whatever reason, right? We may not even know what that big lesson is or what God really had in plan for us, but just knowing that if we're able to survive from it and be better from it, then I'm grateful that it happened in the first place.
I love that you said that. And also too, you know, it's important to really take your time to get to know someone too. So that's the point of dating, I think, or even friend dating. You know, when you date your friends too, like in the aspect of, like, you know, you're getting to know people. When you first meet a friend, y'all go out for coffee or whatever.
Different
really
situations.
Get to know people. Yeah, go out. That's why you have to go to different places, see different things. Like, you only get to know someone so much by just sitting in the house with them, going to that same place with them, just seeing them in certain scenarios, you know, seeing just their business personality. You really got to vet people, understand who you never fully know a person. However, those red flags do come out.
Exactly. And just letting y'all know that when you are solid enough with yourself, you'll know when it's time to walk away from something that's not for you. That's something that we wanted to leave y'all off with, because you always say this, right? A solid relationship with yourself is all that matters. So when you start there, then you'll know who's actually meant to be in your life and who's not. And it just goes down to whether you want to see the red flags or not as well.
Oh, well said, right? That was the ending right there. We appreciate y'all tapping into our 76th episode. Please like, subscribe, share this video, tell your friends about us, SpeakupJV, about your homegirls. Quick shout out to our sponsors before we wrap up. Shout out to My Bar, located at 720 East Manchester in Inglewood, California. Get your nails, your lashes, your hair done. Ask for mine. Tell her that SpeakupJV sent you. The Instagram to book your appointment is at myy.bar.
And shout out to our other sponsor, Be Actual Natural. Why settle for less? All their products are created with you in mind to let your self-love show through your self-care. All their products are chemical-free, they're handmade, plant-based, and free of fillers or preservatives. They have really good hair and skincare products. So treat yourself while you're taking care of yourself. Start your journey at www.beactualnatural.com or check them out on Instagram at beactualnatural.
We love y'all so much. Stay tuned for more content.
Love y'all.
Bye.